Hello guys, now we are on the second game in the Queenside pawn majority uh, games, and this game is a Ruy Lopez game played between Lasker and Tarash in St. Petersburg in 1914. The game goes e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6, bishop a4, knight f6, castle shot, knight takes c4, d4, b5, and bishop to b3, and d5. After d takes c5, bishop e6, c3, bishop e7, and rook e1. Now castle shot, knight bd2, knight c5, bishop to c2, and d4. C takes d4, knight takes d4, knight takes d4, queen takes d4. And this position, the book formally found fault with black's position on several counts. It was strongly assumed that with the queen still on the board, white's position was entirely satisfactory, with good chances of a kingside attack. Furthermore, after the exchange of queens, white was still thought to have a satisfactory game because of his greater command of space and the favorable placement of his forces. In this last conclusion, the real meaning of the pawn majority on the queen side was completely left out of reckoning. So, as a double proof of this contention, we give two examples of the treatment of this position in the actual play. Let's see the first game between Lasker and Tarash, and also we'll be looking at a game between Joner and Uwe in Zurich 1934. So we'll be looking at two games and the treatment of this position. So the first game, let's look at from the black side. Black having the queen side majority, and now white plays knight b3. Uh, Here, this is the best move in this circumstances. White is not afraid of getting doubled pawns as his pieces will get into play more rapidly. Moreover, when it comes to stopping the advance of a pawn majority, a doubled pawn is no worse than an intact pawns. So after knight takes b3, a takes b3, queen takes d1, rook takes d1, and now c5. Now bishop to d2 and rook f d8, and now bishop to a5 and rook takes d1, rook takes d1, now f6, and now bishop to c3, f takes e5, bishop takes e5, and rook to d8. Black plays strongly here. He forces the exchange of rooks because with only bishop on the board, the doubled pawn becomes a weakness. This So let's see the game. And after rook takes, bishop takes, and f4, king f7, king f2, bishop f6, bishop d6, and bishop d4 check, king f3, bishop d5 check, king g and king g4, and bishop king e6, bishop f8, and king f7, bishop d6, bishop takes g2, and bishop takes h7, king e6, bishop f8, king d5, and king to g5, bishop f6 check, and king g6, bishop e4 check, and f5, king e5, bishop takes g7, bishop takes f5 check, king f7, bishop takes g7. Here black could have obtained a decisive advantage after bishop to e6 check, then king to f8, and bishop takes g7 check, then king takes g7, and bishop takes b3. Instead he went for bishop takes g7, bishop takes f5, and king takes f5, and king takes g7, a5, h4, king g4, after which white secured a position with like a problem, like a endgame problem, this position. After king g6 and king takes h4, king f5, king g3, king e now king e4, then king to f2, then king to d5, now king to e3, king takes c5, king d3, king takes b5, king c2, king takes a5, and king takes b3, and it's a draw. So one thing stands out clearly from this game: the pawn majority on the queen side can, in the later stages of the endgame, assume the same characteristics as in the case of outside passed pawn. So let us see another game from the 15th move. From the 15th move, here white plays knight b3. Instead, we will see what happens if queen goes to e2 here. And we will be looking at the game in my next video. Please do watch it. We will be looking at here, if the queen remains on the board, what would happen. So thank you all. Please do watch the next video.